Alanis Morissette says everything she does now is win-win or no deal. No? Because she realizes that if it's a win-lose for anybody, eventually the one who lost is going to be upset and get revenge. And eventually you get to lose-lose. What is true power? It is power within, finding that power within. And from there, power with, making sure you're taking everyone else along. And then from there, power to drive positive change. Okay? Power within, power with, and power to. Isn't that a beautiful understanding of what power is instead of running away from it because it's got such a bad rep? But when we abdicate our power, someone else takes it over, and we are Arjuna who didn't fight the good fight. The journey's key takeaway. So, yesterday we spent all the time on understanding the hero's journey, the heroine's journey, and what does it mean from a Shakti lens, right? And at the end of that journey, there are just two things to remember if you wish to take away. One is the only way out is through. What does that mean? Not making the journey is not an option. There's a story of the wildebeest you've seen on wildlife documentaries, right? They cross from Tanzania into the other country, I forget which one, and then they come there and it's a river infested with crocodiles. And all these wildebeest are huffing and fuming, and it's like you can see their feet stomping. They know they have to cross that river. The only way out is through. But that river contains those crocodiles who are waiting to catch them and eat them, right? And then with one big breath, en masse, they enter, right? And it's mayhem, but they have given themselves to the journey. They have answered the call to adventure. They have found the hero within. They have found that courage, right? Because that's what species demands of them. It's life's demand of them. And they get in, and the crocodiles get at them, and they kick the crocodiles, and some die. And that's the end of that experience of life for that one wildebeest. And then the majority make it through to the other side, right? So that is the perfect metaphor of the hero and heroine's journey that each one of us is called to make as an initiation into our fullness and our worthiness to be able to take space on this planet. We have to be initiated. The only way out is through that deepest fear, that supreme ordeal. That is that supreme ordeal in the wildebeest journey. And the only way to go through is to go in, right? So the only way out is through, and the only way out is in. Where are you going to find that warrior, hero, courage, energy to make this almost death and resurrection journey, right? You may die. Many of us die trying to grow up. The whole journey of being human is to wake up, grow up, and show up. Wake up, grow up, and show up. Very often, we kind of hesitate to answer these three calls to adventure. We don't want to wake up. It's so much nicer being asleep and blame everyone else. We don't want to grow up. It's so much nicer having mom, dad, society, someone carry you instead of you having to carry yourself and do the work. We don't want to show up because we're so happy with our own selves, and who wants to do the work for others? It's hard enough doing it for yourself. But if you have to show up and be part of this species and get to that level of self-mastery and selfless service, the journey isn't complete until you pay the gift forward. That is showing up. Wake up, grow up, show up. Cannot avoid this journey as a Shakti leader, as a yogini. The only way out is through, and the only way out is in. Where are you going to find the capacities, the abilities, the Shakti to make that through journey? You're going to find it within. So you have to do this work of going within. The only way out is through, the only way out is in. The master key, cultivating presence and Shakti. You begin with these two things. Now, from here, everything else will start falling into place. So, this is our day for Rasika, how to live, love, and lead as Shakti. So, here's the model again to remind ourselves. It's a journey through the 5 elements. First, in the model of how to be a Shakti leader, is to cultivate presence. From a place of presence, you learn how to receive and accept and embody your power, your Shakti. From there, you become psychologically whole. You learn to flex between your different selves in your wholeness, and you achieve congruence by knowing your purpose and then living your life on purpose. And then you come into each of these 5 elements by making a heroic journey. It'll not be given to you on a platter. You're going to have to earn each and every one of these. So we say a Shakti leader is present. Okay? You see this beautiful swan or duck coming across the water. They look so graceful, right? But underneath the water, they're paddling furiously to stay afloat. What does that mean? That showing up with a calm presence is an act of grace for others, because you are a safe and beautiful being to be around and to behold. But that is not an accident. Someone's doing hard work to have got to that level of grace and beauty. It's not an accident. Okay? So a Shakti leader puts in the work to show up in a present way. Another thing the Shakti leader does is they become like this safe haven. There can be a storm going on around, but they have created a circle around their team, their family, their community, so that it can feel calm and safe. Okay? This is another way in which you are a Shakti leader and present. We are made up of many different selves: physical, vital, mental, psychic, spiritual, all these different selves. They're not going in different directions. As a Shakti leader, they're all lined up, they're all aligned and congruent, and that has the capacity to hold itself even as the raging river is all around you. This is another capacity of a Shakti leader, which comes from the practice of presence. So, how do we define presence? A state in which you have nothing to defend, promote, or fear, and are completely available to the moment. This comes from the work of the Enneagram, the wisdom of the Enneagram, which says that when we lose presence, we tend to go to one of 3 places. We either go to our gut and we get into defensive fight, flight, survival mode. You lost presence. Or you go into your heart and you become a people pleaser. You become needy. You want other people to validate you, to appreciate you. You start promoting yourself in some way. You have lost presence. Or you go into your head and you start future tripping. What else can go wrong? Or you go into the past, shame, guilt. All this is fear, right? When the mind gets sucked into fear, you have lost presence. When you are in the future or in the past, in a state of stress or worry, the fear, you have lost presence. So therefore, what is the way back? I have nothing to defend. I have nothing to promote. I have nothing to fear. This becomes a Maha Mantra, which I will be deepening with you just in the next few slides. But it's so simple, right? If you can reclaim your power from these 3 centers that you have rushed into and lost presence, you just have to unhook from them and go back. Nothing to defend, nothing to promote, nothing to fear. I am here now. You can stand in your central axis, your pillar, your fire, light, and you're back to your connection with your divinity, your source. Okay? That's your presence. Now you are completely available to the moment. Otherwise, we are busy not being here. You're so distracted. So let's do the presence practice right away. I'm going to take you through. It takes between 5 to 10 minutes. There is a recording that will be shared with you. We teach this to all our Shakti leaders, and anytime, anywhere you have lost presence, just go to this link, save it somewhere, and you will be taken back into your presence. Everyone ready for the presence practice? Keep everything aside. Keep your feet firmly on the ground. Spine is nice and tall and straight. Relax. Nice deep breath. The first signal of presence is a relaxed body. So I want you to squeeze all your body parts tight and release. Now take a nice deep breath, flushing the tension from the top of your head to the tips of your fingers and your toes. Continue breathing and relaxing all the different parts of the body that may be feeling tight. Just scan the body, bring the breath to it, and relax it. The next signal of presence is an even breath. Shift your awareness from your body to your breath. Notice how you are inhaling and notice how you are exhaling. Notice when you inhale, your belly softens, chest expands. And when you exhale, your belly flops, chest drops. Just enjoy the movement of the in-breath and the out-breath. Notice nothing else but your breath. Become a friend of your breath. Let it be your companion. And let it become nice and even. Inhaling and exhaling. The next signal of presence is a clear and calm mind. Now let's shift awareness to the brain. Visualize that your brain is turning into a liquid lake, high on a mountain top. Imagine it's a perfect day. There is no ripple on the lake of your mind. There is no turbidity in the lake of your mind. There is no moss on the surface of the lake of your mind. There's a sense of freshness and clear and open calmness. So visualize, imagine you're stepping forward towards the lake of your mind and you're looking down at your reflection. When the body is relaxed and the breath is even and the mind is crystal clear like this lake, your essence, your presence, your soul can shine back at you. So there is such a joyful recognition of your own true being looking back at you that you wish to merge with it. Visualize you're now stepping step by step into the lake of your mind. And the waters are the perfect temperature. They lap up and they wash against your heart. Take a deep breath and just allow your heart now to relax open. Shifting awareness to the heart, let it open to reveal your deepest love and self, and let it open to receive empathetically the deepest love and self of others. I invite you to step into this open heart and come and stand in your presence, your central axis, which is going through the center of this heart. You are in your divine I am presence here. And from here, I wish you to now affirm after me the Maha Mantra. The reality of this moment, go ahead, is that I have nothing to defend. Take a deep breath, let your gut relax. Moving into the heart, repeat after me. The reality of this moment is that I have nothing to promote. Take a deep breath, relax the heart, the outer heart. Moving into the head, repeat after me. The reality of this moment is that I have nothing to fear. Let the brain relax, the mind relax. Standing in your own presence, which is your grounding axis going through your spine. Repeat after me. The only reality of this moment is that I am here now. All I need is within me. All I need comes to me. All I need flows through me. I am enough. I have enough. And there is enough for all to share. Become aware of a river flowing through your spine, descending from source above, the universal consciousness around you, and from your own heart. Feel these triple rivers of your own divinity, your own Shakti, flowing through your central axis, sending tributaries of healing, energy, regeneration into all directions, irrigating all the different planes and parts of your being, getting refreshed in your own Antarganga, your own inner Ganga. This is your presence flowing through as your Shakti. Now, the two qualities or signals of leaders. One is they are context aware. So use your presence to sharpen your five senses and pick up from a place of presence the empathy you need to know what's going on around you. Become aware of sharpening your sense of sight, sharpening your sense of smell, sharpening your sense of taste, sharpening your sense of touch, sharpening your sense of sound, hearing. Presencing everything that you're receiving through your five senses with equanimity. No rag, no dvesh, no attraction, no revulsion. Pure expansion and acceptance of everything from your own power and presence. Now you become an energetic inductor. As a Shakti leader, you have the capacity to bring the power of your presence to everyone else you encounter and induct them into their presence, which is a gift you give them. So take a deep breath and visualize that torus ring going through your whole being and expanding out in all directions. This is the field of your presence. And gift that field of presence to every other sister sitting in this circle. Gift this field of presence to everyone else in this room. And then send this wonderful field of presence to all the people whose lives you touch. Let the gift of your presence return others to their presence. Like one tuning fork can resonate and make others return to presence. Holding this wonderful state of presence, remember the signals: relaxed body, even breath, clear and calm mind, open heart, sharpened sensitive sonar, and energetic induction. Holding the gifts of presence in your being, gently wriggle your fingers and your toes. Move your head and neck from side to side. Holding this field of presence in you through your central axis, being aware that's always here for you when you forget. Look around the room and just smile and acknowledge the presence in this room. Every individual presence is part of the universal one presence. Okay. Thank you. How are you feeling? Can you please note what the state of presence feels like, so that when you forget, you can remember to induct yourself back into this state? Now, it takes practice. You've created a new neural pathway, just the first little imprint. If you do this every day for 21 days, for 42 days, you will create such a clear neural pathway that every time you lose presence, just the remembering of returning to presence will put your awareness down that track. Okay? So everything takes practice, and with practice, you become good at it. In the early days, you may be present for a few seconds after the practice and then back to being caught in one of the three centers, right? But with practice, even if you get caught or lost in one of the three centers, you can say, oh my God, I'm getting defensive here. Oh my God, I'm becoming self promoting here. Oh my God, I'm getting fearful here, right? The minute you catch these feelings, these emotions, these thoughts, now you know how to pause and return to presence. Yes, Catherine.
So, specifically, what I've been working with the last 24 hours or so is fear.
Yeah.
And it's coming up a lot. And like even during the meditation, it's like the fear just doesn't go away. It's still there, especially if it's something that's like really important.
Yes.
And so I guess I'm asking, how do you know when you're not bypassing, like spiritually bypassing? Because I could say, oh, I'm not afraid, but it's not really an authentic
No, so if you're
feeling.
feeling it, no
Yeah.
self deception, as we said yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge and witness whatever arises. At least allow it, acknowledge it, name it. The mere act of seeing it will start healing it. You have to see it, you have to feel it to heal it. Okay? Do not deny it. So, what were the signals of presence? A relaxed body, even breath, clear mind, open heart, sensitive sonar, energetic induction. And what was the Maha Mantra? You can do this anytime, anywhere, and return to presence. The reality of this moment is that I have nothing to defend. The reality of this moment is that I have nothing to promote. The reality of this moment is that I have nothing to fear. So, presence is in the present moment, not anywhere else. Then, the only reality of this moment is that I am your Sat, here now. That eternal self is in this moment in space and time. Here, now. Here, space, now, time. The I am is here now. And then these are beautiful affirmations because they speak to all the ways in which we lose presence. Because saying, oh, I don't have something. So you say, all I need is within me. All I need comes to me. I love this. Every time I start getting stressed, oh my God, when am I going to get that? How am I going to get there? Who should I be asking? I know I have lost presence. I stop, I insert pause, I return to presence, and I just affirm, all I need comes to me. It's a way of putting yourself back, situating yourself in that unique node in the matrix of Shakti in which everything is flowing in divine time. If you are part of that, what you need comes to you when you need it. So the minute I say all I need comes to me, I kind of submit to the greater intelligence and flow of supply. And it works. You have to try this. All I need comes to me. Instead of me striving hard, pushing, and losing presence. Return to presence. Presence is not a static state, it's a state of grace and flow where all you need is coming to you. Remember, we are daughters, sons of the Divine Mother. She's here as our supply. Okay? And then I add one more, which is not here. All I need flows through me, which is another nice way to know that I'm an instrument of Shakti, right? What needs comes to me, and then what others need can flow through me as well. So all I need flows through me. And you don't get stuck and hold on to that grace when it comes to you. Then, I am enough. What is this about? It's very much the sense of not being good enough, right? Which we all carry, imposter syndrome. So the antidote is I am enough. What's the other part of our typical ego shadow? That I'm not enough, or I don't have enough, right? I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough, right? So the minute you return to saying, I am enough, I have enough, you can get out of all that envy and jealousy that otherwise you start projecting on others. And then scarcity consciousness, right? There isn't enough to go around. Let me grab more for myself because we think there isn't enough. So There is enough for all to share. That immediately will change the state in which you are approaching any moment, any situation. I am enough, I have enough, and there is enough for all. So, can you see how carefully each of these statements has been curated and put together to really address all the ways in which we lose presence and therefore the way back to presence? Okay? It's any one of these can help you get back to presence. And then together, it's an incredible Brahma Astra, divine power weapon. Moving on. Yes? Sensitive sonar is the five senses. And as a leader, if you're so lost in your own drama or fears or whatever, you're going to miss out on who's looking unwell. Why is that person looking excluded? So as leaders, we must be picking up what's going on around us, right? When you do any kind of martial art training, you must know this stuff. It's also where is the danger? Pick it up. Don't get blindsided, right? That's what it means to become a sensitive sonar. Presence, what your five senses are bringing into you. It's all data, it's all critical information. That will raise your own leadership game. Moving to the next element, after presence is power. And here we use the idea of Shakti, because all leadership is essentially an exercise of some kind of agency or power to get something done. Without it, you got to be the beautiful Mercedes Benz. If there's no fuel, no gas in the tank, it's not going to go anywhere, right? So you need to make sure you are accessing and tapping on your true source of power. So Shakti is the power of presence. Presence isn't just still Shiva. Presence is also the Shakti that flows from that Shiva state. Presence brings you equanimity. Its accompanying power provides the true agency to effect conscious outcomes. Okay, let's go more into that. A Shakti leader exercises true power. And what do we mean by true power? Let's understand what is not true power. So, what is your power base? Do a quick check in. Typically, false power is what most of us and the world is working on, because everyone needs power to get anything done. And the whole game is a power game, right? Everything is a power play. Who's in power? Who lost power? Who has more power? And the false power game that's out there is a win-lose, power over kind of game. It's the force of narrow self-interest. It's all about what I need, never mind the other. And it's typically privilege-based power. We're all jockeying for more privilege, right? So it's an external source. Can I become CEO? Can I become the head of this institution? In the family, can I be the one who's actually the boss? So it's all about getting privilege from your position and then getting positional power from that. It's an external source, but it is finite, meaning it can be taken away from you. And I always give this example, and I'll give it again. Many of my uncles are in the cops, police, or then they were in the civil services, right? These are very highly prestigious. Everyone goes there because that's where the power is. So when they were in power, when they had their positions, they were rather small men, but they would look very big, walk around and everyone running and bowing to them and pulling chairs for them. And, it's such a high, right? And then they retired. The day they retired, it was like a balloon that deflated, right? And I would visit them in their homes, and they were like ghosts walking around the corridors of their own homes. They didn't know who they are anymore because their whole life had been spent on building this identity, but it was an external source. And when that gets taken away from you, who are you? And how are you going to live and function in this world? Where is your agency to be able to effect anything, get anything done? Had these people put in the years and the work on tapping and growing their own personal power, not their privilege. They could have shown up very differently even in their later years, right? So the other thing is whatever you create with false power eventually fails because it's not what the universe wants, right? Mother describes it's like beating water in a cup. You do all that hard work, to get that thing going. You're beating the water, beating the water, beating the water. And then you take the hand out. What happens to the water? Goes right back to what it was. So all that hard work for nothing. Imagine how many years we spent trying to accumulate power in order to be someone in this world, to get anything done. Which is why this little part of this presentation is critical to the whole Shakti leadership model. For you to understand your relationship with power. How do you do power? On the other hand, this is true power. The way to do true power, Shakti power, is when in any interaction, you're looking at a win-win, right? Alanis Morissette says, everything she does now is win-win or no deal. No? Because she realizes that if it's a win-lose for anybody, eventually the one who lost is going to be upset and get revenge. And eventually you get to lose-lose. So the only win is a win-win-win, right? It's power with. And in the Home for Humanity work that we're also going to be a part of and going to Kashmir to launch a project called Moj Kashmir right from here, going to Kashmir to regenerate Kashmir through the grandmothers and mothers of Kashmir, daughters of Kashmir. We'll be there for International Women's Day. And one thing they talk about in Home for Humanity is what is true power? It is power within, finding that power within. And from there, power with, making sure you're taking everyone else along. And then from there, power to drive positive change. Okay? Power within, power with, and power to. Isn't that a beautiful understanding of what power is instead of running away from it because it's got such a bad rep? But when we abdicate our power, someone else takes it over, and we are Arjuna who didn't fight the good fight. Right? So, it's the force for, it's not or, for. It's the force for greater good. That is true power. And we have to access that and not shy away from it. That is Shakti. It's an internal source. It's unlimited. Best of all, it cannot be taken away from you, as Viktor Frankl found out in Man's Search for Meaning. Right? Cannot be taken away from you. And whatever you create from your Shakti is life's desire for itself, so it will last beyond you, or at least until Shakti wishes to have it around. Okay? It's not your little personal agenda that you were pushing uphill. It's that energy that's flowing through you, flowing with gratitude, grace, gravity, right? So think about your own power. How are you doing power? Oh, let's do a quick little exercise. Can you all just stand up and find pairs? Just stay where you are. I don't want to get too messy with the room. Just find a partner to work with. I want you to turn around and have your backs facing each other. Turn around and have your backs facing each other. Yes, you can touch your backs gently, respectfully. Okay? Everyone got someone to work with? Come here, join me quickly. Emily, come. So as you presence and you are in neutral, your power is in neutral, okay? And now I'm going to ask you, only when I finish do you act. I want you to exercise 10% of your power to push the person back. Go ahead. 10% of your power to push the person back. Okay, relax. Take a deep breath, neutral. Now, I want you to take 90% of your power to push this person back. Go, 90%. And relax. Breathe. Neutral. Breathe. Neutral. And now take 50% of your power to push the person back. Notice. Notice your power, notice the other person's power. What is a surprise here? And relax. Gently turn around, thank your partner. Stay. Okay, no, stay there. Let's do a quick debrief. Stay there. We have the next power with exercise. So this was a power over exercise, okay? And very often you may be surprised that someone who looks like a little thing has a lot of power, right? And then someone who looked really large was a pipsqueak, right? And so it's so interesting that appearances are deceptive. And an exercise like this gives you a sense of what is that inner power that is moving that person, right? So I hope you have respect for whoever you were with. And if there were any surprises, understand how you're going to make sure not to make assumptions about another person the next time you meet them. Okay? Any insights for you? I was surprised by how much power you had. Strong woman, very strong woman. Yeah. Typically, I'm the one who's a little over when I push to 90, but this one was strong. So, thank you. Now, the next exercise. In this one, we do power with. Okay? It's a very different experience. Allow yourself to feel it. I'm going to ask you to interlock your fingers. So, come through like this. Hold your, yeah. Can you watch this? My fingertips are touching, her fingertips are touching, and we are intertwined. Okay? Yes. 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 With these intertwined fingertips, I want you to experience a multiple range of movement possible as the two of you. Now, no one speaks. You simply sense into each other and you figure out all the many ways in which you can move in this position, meaning with this fingertips not getting loose. Okay? Figure out all the multiple ways in which you can move. Go ahead. All right. Thank you. Relax. Thank your partner. And notice their face now. Okay? Notice if they're different. Right? More joy? Yeah? More play? Yeah? So this is an experience of power with, where two people are simply sensing each other and wishing to give and receive from each other. No one's pushing and getting more from the other. Okay? And in a way, the first version was more masculine, and there can be healthy power over when you have to learn to say no. Sometimes I cue the exercise with the back saying, say no with 100% of your energy, right? So sometimes it's important to learn to say no. This is the more feminine and the more healthy feminine version of how do you do power with, right? Yes. I've done this with engineers from a telecom company, okay? And they got so stressed and they stood like this and they didn't know what to do, okay? And then they got so excited because they thought they figured it out. They walked, okay? They walked and then they walked back. And they were so happy, you know? So my heart broke. My heart broke. It was so sweet, that engineering training. Look what it does. Look what it does on the inside. And you never see it until you do an exercise like this. You do not know how structured their brains are, right? They don't know how to move, how to flow, right? So thank you. Thank you, Emily. Sit down, everyone. Huh? Then we showed, yes. It's very sweet. Very sweet. So I hope that gave you a brief taste of power over and power with, and how both are appropriate and necessary in different moments. And that's for you to sense as a Shakti leader. So I want you to think about your relationship with power. When do you do power over and when do you do power with? Think of a key relationship in your life. How do you exercise power in this relationship? Is it mostly power over or power with? You may never have thought about it like this. Think of a person who models power over leadership and someone who models power with leadership. What can you learn about your own relationship with power? Many of us would think people like Putin and Trump are in this power over leadership mode, right? This whole very heavy masculine power over exercise of energy. And then you have people like Jacinda Ardern, right? What a glorious example on the world stage of leadership. Very much about power with, right? And then she has said she's going to step down and not seek another term, and she's going to be there for her husband and her family. And so beautiful, right? When the power is given to you, you exercise it as a steward, and then you give it up when it's ready to move on. Okay? So, what can you learn about your own relationship with power? How can you watch for power over dynamics and shift to power with dynamics from now on? It's all about awareness and seeing what's going on. Once you can see it, then you can feel it, and then you can heal it. Okay? Notice more, very importantly, sometimes women, it's not just about doing power over, sometimes it's like power under, meaning you give your power away. Notice how and when you may be giving away your power or unconsciously tend to lose it. Why do you think this happens and how can you prevent it? This is a very big question for many women because in the patriarchy, we've been socialized to keep our voice shut, voice low. As Anusha kept saying, girls should be seen and not heard. We expect the men in our lives to make the big decisions for us, right? It's something we just do unconsciously until you come to a program like this and confront such questions. You may never even have thought about it. I know I was like that for a great part of the early years of my marriage. I was very much this very happy-go-lucky woman, and I knew what I wanted, and the world was my oyster. And then I fell in love and got married, and I just went into the cultural pattern of what a marriage should be. So it was about walking 2 steps behind the man. He's 5 years older, he knows more, right? And I didn't even think until I started waking up and I had my crises and moments of questioning and awakening that, oh my God, I've given my power away because I just fell into a mold that is expected of me and didn't even think that I had another way of being, another choice, right? Yeah, yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes. If you took your own decision, you were masculinized. You were considered to be too manly. Yeah, that's what they say. And for a woman, it's a double bind, you know. When you are being the woman, you don't have the power you need. And then when you try and become like the man with the power that you need, then you are, ridiculed as well. There's a lot of this in all the books out there on lean in and so on. So we say a conscious leader is whole, the third element of Shakti leadership. So by that we mean the Ardhanarishwar, right? The half male, half female archetype, the divinity. When we have to become wholly divine, we will eventually be equally masculine and feminine, expressed and embodied in its higher ways, right? And I love giving this little story of Father Lancy, my mentor. He would sit down and tell me, he said, Nilima, it's true even biologically. He was a microbiologist. He says, as we grow older, not only are we meant to become spiritually whole, even nature seems to be trying to get us to the androgynous self. As men grow older, they grow breasts. As women grow older, they grow beards. Like, yes, that's true, right? With all those hormonal changes. So we're all getting to become the androgynous self, to come into our full psychological, spiritual wholeness. So, what is wholeness? The capacity to balance, integrate, and unite all divided and fragmented parts of oneself. There are three kinds of wholeness, and they talk about healing the split within. So, from the Western tradition, the idea of psychological wholeness, this is Jungian work. It's about integrating your ego and your shadow. It's about integrating the anima and the animus, the masculine self if you're a woman, the feminine self if you're a man. So, Jung would say that the journey to individuation and to wholeness, the apprentice piece is integrating your ego and your shadow. But the masterpiece is integrating the anima, the animus. Okay, it's the next level, higher order version of the journey to psychological wholeness. And the Western work is beautiful in all this. There's another way of looking at wholeness, which comes from the Indian yogic tradition, which is the understanding that the split within is not just between our ego self and our shadow self, between our anima, animus, but between our human self and our divine self. That's why yoga, in its truest meaning, is about reuniting the human with the divine. Right? That is what the word yoga is, reuniting the human self with the divine self. That we have a lower self and we have a higher self. And that split needs to be healed. That is why we practice yoga in this land. So, this brings us to spiritual wholeness through the yogic tradition. And then I love the fact I lived in Singapore and Hong Kong for many years. I was working with Hong Kong University on understanding how they bring Chinese medicine principles to healing cancer and to do psychosocial intervention. And that's where I discovered they don't necessarily have the idea of God or the divine, but it's about the Tao, which is the ecological wholeness. And for you to be in a state of health, your nature has to be in yin yang harmony with nature all around you. So if you fall sick and you go see a Chinese medicine doctor, he'll ask you very basic questions around what season it is, and therefore what kind of food are you eating? Is it heaty or cooly? And it's all about saying, can you return to balance with the season and the nature all around you? And then you will be back in the Tao, you'll be back in health and wholeness. So it is ecological wholeness, which is about balancing the yin and the yang within and around you. Okay? So isn't this beautiful? Every tradition and culture has brought back these civilizational elixirs, pointing us towards wholeness in very unique and different ways. And so for Shakti leadership, we bring all these kinds of wholeness together to become a Shakti leader. Okay? So this is the Jungian Vesica Piscis. If you go to Avalon, Glastonbury in the UK, you will see this sign everywhere. This is the Ardhanarishwar doing the dance. And this is the symbol of the Tao that you all are familiar with. Next, we say a conscious leader is flexible, right? So it's not just enough to gather all those split parts of yourself and put yourself back together. Then you need to know how to flex between them, right? Depending on any situation, which part of you is needed in that moment. That agility is needed as a Shakti leader. I've shown a picture of a bamboo because the bamboo is revered in Chinese culture for this very reason. In the storm, it's the big trees that fall. The bamboo knows how to be resilient and it knows how to bend and not break. And this is a highly regarded quality in the Chinese tradition. So, flexibility. Also, the chameleon, right, knows how to be resilient and how to survive and thrive by knowing how to change color, knowing how to adapt. So, check in on yourself. In what parts of your life are you just so stuck? I'm like this only. That doesn't help. That attitude doesn't help, right? Because eventually something will come get us. Our capacity to be adaptable and flexible is critical to our survival and our effectiveness. Flexibility, the capacity to switch modes seamlessly and to bend without breaking as the situation or context requires. So, as we know, there is a dual nature to everything. Every single thing has a yin aspect, a yang aspect, a feminine aspect, a masculine aspect. Let's understand that coming into our full power and leadership capacities requires reclaiming one's lost half to become a whole person. In the Gestalt tradition, it's all about reclaiming the lost half. Which one of these are you out of touch with? If you want to become whole, you have to go claim that lost half. And then you heal from whatever ails you, psychologically or even physically. Best of all, what is the purpose of this polarity? Why does everything come in pairs? Why is it made like that? It's not a bug, it's a feature of the design. Let me say that again. Duality, polarity is not a bug, it's a feature of the design. It has a purpose. What is the purpose? Have you ever seen a horseshoe magnet? Right? If I did not have the horseshoe magnet, the space between the two poles, north and south, would simply be a neutral space, correct? It's not a magnetic field. Had I not had a horseshoe magnet and I simply put a wire through it, would I get any power? Would I get electricity? Would I get anything? No. So it is because a polarity has been created when I put a wire through that space, in that creative tension between the two poles, power which was potential becomes kinetic, becomes actualized, available for use to fuel the system. Isn't this beautiful? That every system needs energy to keep itself going. Where is it going to come from? The system has to generate its own power, its own fuel. And it does that by creating a dual nature in everything, a polarity in everything. Because it's in the cutting through of those polarities that the power gets generated to keep evolving that system and keeping it in dynamic equilibrium. Everything has to find its equilibrium vis-a-vis each other, even as it has to keep evolving into higher versions of itself. Okay? There is a purpose to polarity. So, this is another Brahma Astra in Shakti leadership. It's the work of Dr. Barry Johnson, who's understood that everything comes in pairs. They are interdependent pairs. And it's not about an either or, it's about both and. So let's look at how do we leverage and get the best of both masculine and feminine power traits available to us. And this is how you do polarity mapping. You can do this with any other polarity, any other pair. Happy to teach you some other way that you are stuck. Come, we can sit in at the back of an envelope. I can do a polarity map for you, and you can break through whatever is the either or situation you are stuck in to be able to find the both and creative answer. Okay? So, people tend to either like only the masculine or only like the feminine. And then Barry Johnson will ask, if I were to ask you, inhale or exhale, choose, right? And yet that's how we have become because of the patriarchy and our conditioning. Because the feminine has been devalued and it's been suppressed, and everyone wishes to overvalue and reward the masculine, both men, women, everyone has turned towards more masculine expression. And now we are wondering why we are kind of suffocating and drowning and kind of gasping for air, because we are only inhaling and not exhaling, right? They are interdependent pairs. You cannot have one without the other. This is the deepest knowledge, whether it's the Vesika Pisces, the Ardhanarishwar, the Tao. You need both your masculine and your feminine energy and power. So let's see how that works. When you do a polarity map, you make your 4 quadrants. You put here what you don't want, okay? What you don't want is to block your Shakti. And then you put here what you do want. You want to release your full Shakti. In order to come into your full power, you therefore need to leverage both your feminine and your masculine polarity, right? The way they do it, identify the upside of the feminine. What are all the beautiful, positive aspects of the feminine? Beautiful, right? Incredibly important qualities needed in leadership today and missing in leadership today. And so this was a group like yours, and I just asked them to call out some positive feminine, positive masculine, negative feminine, negative masculine. Okay, so this is not a comprehensive list. Go ahead and add any of your own ideas. Some of them you may feel belong somewhere else, that's fine too. This is not set in stone. Do what works for you. Now, because today everyone is saying feminine, 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 let's bring more of this back into leadership, we have looked down on the masculine, not in its pure healthy way, but we are really looking at the masculine in its toxic expression, right? So, when the masculine is done to the neglect of the feminine, it falls below the line and becomes toxic masculine. Let's not forget, the feminine can fall below the line too when it is not in balance with the healthy masculine. So, deep breath, everybody. We've all been here, right? Talk about helicopter moms hovering over their children, right? Making sure they're getting all their love and attention, smothering them, right? Or going to the men in our lives and saying, oh, please validate me. Why aren't you saying how gorgeous I am? Right? So, all that neediness, right? So, unfocused. What's going on here? I don't know. I'm in La La Land, right? So, we have all been here, and it's not just the men who are here. And remember, masculinity and femininity is in both genders, all genders. Okay. Let's not forget, even in the patriarchy, there are these beautiful, healthy, masculine qualities that we have all aspired for and we've actually become very good at. Let's go ahead and leverage them and not deny them. What is the healthy masculine? Clarity, assertiveness, focus, direction, order, discipline, structure, discernment, strength, convergence, getting things done, not just sitting around nourishing everybody else all the time and depleting yourself and, right, getting things done. So, how do you work with a polarity map? Here is the real crux of this. You've got to continue to inhale and exhale in these upper 2 quadrants, because if you don't do that, you're doomed to fall below the line and have the worst of both. If you can't do the best of both, you'll have the worst of both. So, how to stop yourself from falling below the line and return above the line when needed? I want you to identify an early warning sign when you have been very feminine, very empathetic, very gentle, very nurturing. It's all about being vulnerable, but somewhere you forgot that you had to balance it with all these wonderful qualities. What is your early warning sign that you're falling below the line and now it's becoming smothering, etc., something? Please make note of your early warning sign. It could be one of these, it could be something else. My example, when I fall below the line, I become needy. I start looking for someone else out there to take care of me. Now that I've done polarity thinking and polarity mapping, I know how to break out of that. It's my early warning sign. Neelima, catch yourself. You've fallen below the line. You're experiencing neediness. What do? I pause and I go across to the healthy opposite top quadrant. I exercise one quality I have, which is healthy masculine. And so my energy returns to balance. What is the healthy quality I have? I happen to know how to do self care. Thank God. Over the years, I've learned self care, self love, self care. Very masculine energy in self care, right? It's like sometimes men are called selfish, but there's the good selfish, right? Putting that mask on first because you know you have to survive if you have to caretake and protect everyone else. Okay? So, from my early warning, I have to go across and take an action step and exercise something that returns me above the line. And you normally don't go back here, you go to the opposite to balance. Okay? So, in the same way, I want you to ask yourself if you know what your early warning is when you become too feminine, can you please identify an action step that you have, that you are capable of, that will return you to healthy masculine? Mine is neediness and self care. What's yours? Go ahead, write it down. This is such important work. Once you've done this, you will save so many relationships. Okay, equally ask yourself what happens if I've been hanging around in healthy masculine for too long and forgotten my healthy feminine? I lost balance. I fall below the line and start displaying unhealthy masculine energy and behavior. What is that early warning sign? In my case, I become judgmental. I start feeling superior. I start noticing all the faults in everybody else. Those faults become very clear to me. But now I know, oh, guess what, Nilima? You're being judgmental. You've fallen below the line. You're now in your unhealthy masculine. So, what do I have to do? My commitment with my sincerity is to pause and stop that judgmental thinking and then move across the quadrant to the healthy feminine. Take an action step that will return me to healthy feminine behavior and return me to balance. I identified my antidote to judgment, which is healthy feminine, is compassion. I have a capacity for compassion and I can exercise it. It's a choice I can make. Right? Now, think about it. If I can find a way to do the right balance of self care and compassion for others, care for self and compassion for others, like an inhale and exhale, if I can be in this beautiful balance, this dance between my healthy feminine and my healthy masculine, I will not even fall below the line. It's a wonderful state of presence that is dynamic, right? So, this is presence. From presence, I can always access my healthy masculine and healthy feminine. This is absence. When I've lost presence, I'm doomed to experience the worst of both worlds. So, just recognizing my neediness when it arises, recognizing my judgmental self when it arises, itself is a tremendous moment. And then committing to take an action step of compassion and self care. Doing it, it's action, acting. And you're back to balance. So many of you are saying you're feeling a little anxious about going back into the world. You know, you've been in this wonderful bubble. Right here in this session, you're being given all the different tools in which you can go back and live all the roles in your life: mother, daughter, partner, colleague. Please take the presence tool, the polarity thinking. Take all this back with you because this is just right there, practical, can be applied right now in each moment. Okay? This is how you take your presence and your Shakti back with you. And enjoy the rasa of life in every bhumika. Bhumika is the roles you get to play. You are presence, you are power, you get to play different roles. Make sure you play them in balance. Okay? Kindness is feminine. Yeah. And firmness may be masculine, because I think sometimes being firm is a very needed thing. It's like the good, tough love, no? Yeah. Be firm, not aggressive, right? So, really, ladies, this is it. Once you see a polarity map, you cannot unsee it, okay? Now you know. Do not get into self deception and make up stories when you fall below the line and pretend it's someone else's problem. We will never be perfect. I don't know how many of us will get to enlightenment in this lifetime. I don't know, right? So, of course, we are going to lose our presence and our equanimity. Of course, we are going to fall below the line. Compassionately forgive yourself, notice, and return to presence again and again and again. There will be some times in your life this is easy to do. There will be some times in life that it'll be very hard to do. But really, the only way out is in, and the only way out is through. There's no other way. And when you can't do anything, just ma, sharanam, 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 sharanagati, 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 Over to you, ma, I can't do this anymore, right? And trust, every call is answered, every prayer is met. It's all about the energy. How are we holding that pole in ourselves? Is it from a toxic place or is it from a conscious place? That determines the result we get from the other person, because energy is completely perfect. If you put out a -5, you will get the opposite of that, right? So only when you're in your neutral will you receive something that is coming from its wholeness as well. Okay. Yes, this thing can save many relationships. One friend of mine, Bonnie Wan, she said, Nilima, I love this. Next time my husband and I have a fight, we'll say, stop. You go there, I go there. And then you go there, and I'll go there. And then let's come back and meet. Right? So it's so beautiful. Once you learn this and you recognize that you've fallen below the line, especially in romantic relationships, you'll find yourself expressing this a lot. And in that moment, insert pause. Each one returns to their presence. Whoever needs to get from here to here, here to here, do that. Now come and meet again. It'll be a totally different energy with which you are interacting, and therefore you'll have a totally different outcome. There are so many conscious women yearning for conscious men as partners. I would hope there are also conscious men who are looking for conscious women as partners. And maybe we need our own version of Tinder or whatever it is, right? That would be so nice. The younger ones, do not get disheartened by what the older ones are telling you. Maybe in your generation, you will find a different outcome, right? Yes, but until then, you find the beloved within. Ooh, and that's such a juicy, juicy love affair, right? Go find that beloved within. Discover it through the Sufi, through the Shakti, Shiva love and the dance, and then become that love affair inside yourself. What do you think Meera did? Right? The mystic, the medieval mystic of India. She was married in childhood to one king. But before that, as a kid, when they were playing, someone gave her, she said, when am I going to get a husband or something? I think her mother gave her a Krishna idol. And she took it so seriously. She went and married Krishna. So later on, when the time came her to marry her off, she said, how can I marry someone? I'm already married to Krishna. And her whole life was the ecstasy of that love that came to her because of her inner wedding to Krishna. She was a mad mystic. Aisi lagi lagan mira ho gayi magan, right? It's beautiful. Every time I hear that bhajan by Anup Jalota, I have to get up and dance, right? Says, Aisi lagi lagan, such a marriage took place. Mira ho gayi magan. Mira became a mystic. She kind of just became intoxicated with the inner wedding that took place. वो तो गली 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 गुन गाने लगी. She just started dancing through all the streets with the song of her heart. So it's I'm getting goosebumps. So every time I think of these women like Lal Ded and Meera, and we've had so many of these women mystics who have found the beloved within. And now they're just ecstatic beings who can go out there and inoculate you with that same love. No? And then hopefully one day you'll find a man or a partner that you identify with who can join you there. Maybe. But you don't have to depend on that. You can find it within. The chances of finding a good person to live your life with are so much higher if you can first do the inner wedding. Right? Because then you'll not project all those incredible needs on some poor human being. Right? No human can meet and satisfy that longing. These are unfair expectations of another human. We can only meet ourselves within. The other half, the lost half, only we can meet that other half within. Okay? So, moving on. How to be that Rasika. How to live, love, and lead as Shakti. The fifth quality or element in the model, the final one, is called congruent, okay, or congruence. We say a Shakti leader is congruent. Today in the exercise with Pragya, remember we did that? We said, here is my bow and arrow, and I know exactly who I am and what I want, and I've got my mark perfectly set in front of me. So, a Shakti leader is congruent. So we say it's a capacity to be centered, authentic, and aligned with one's purpose, both internally, how one feels, and externally, how one acts. I love the Indic tradition for having created yet another civilizational elixir around this, saying, what is the pursuit or purpose of human life? Essentially, they're saying that your purpose is your swadharma according to your swabhav. Your innate nature, your swabhav, is what you are here meant to become, and that is your swadharma, your personal dharma. And basically, it's your pleasure. Okay? And you've got to find it in 4 aspects of your life, and it's called purushartha, right? So, artha, meaningful work, kama, loving relationships, dharma, swadharma, which is your personal truth and living that. And that will then take you through to moksha, which is a freedom and a joy beyond duality. Right? Artha, kama, dharma, moksha. This is the 4-fold pursuit according to the Indic tradition, according to the yogic Hindu tradition. We are here to have meaningful work, loving relationships, follow our own personal truth, and then take all of that to moksha, freedom from all duality. Artha, kama, dharma, moksha. When Campbell was asked at the end of all his speaking with Bill Moyers and, what is the final aim of the whole journey we make as humans? And he says he'll pull from the Hindu Indic tradition. In the final goal of it all is follow your bliss. Okay? Whatever brings you joy, go follow your bliss. But then we have Andrew Harvey, a more recent mystic, who says, you know what? Not everyone gets to find and follow their bliss. So then go find and follow your heartbreak. What is it that breaks your heart? What is it that makes you really cry? What is it that makes you wake up in the morning really sad that someone isn't doing something about this? If it becomes so deeply personal to you, chances are that is your purpose. In your heartbreak, you will find your purpose. So you have Vandana Shiva's heartbreak around what's happening to the planet, okay? But as Irena keeps bringing to us through all these days, even as we follow our heartbreak, do not lose your presence because you will burn out. Do not lose your balance because you will burn out. But certainly you can find your purpose, that unique thing you are here to do, and only you can do. So Jean Houston calls this entelechy, right? That inside each of us, and this comes from the Greek tradition, inside each of us is a seed, a unique something, our entelechy, and only you can bring it to the world. And the creation will be incomplete until you will manifest your entelechy in the world. So, on one hand, you are nothing. You are a speck, you are nothing. But on the other hand, that little thing that you are needs to be manifest because creation will be incomplete until you express that. Okay? This is an onerous responsibility. And when I came across this, I really felt I am not going to die unfinished. I'm going to make sure I'm going to express all that's potential in here. right? Do not die unfinished. I've seen my mother, such a highly creative, intelligent, powerful being, and then, gave herself to husband and daughters and, played small. And then my dad had a near fatal car accident, given up for dead, went into coma for 21 days, many years ago, 30 years ago. Came back partially paralyzed. And since then, she's become a full time caregiver. Okay. And I see in her someone who has so much entelechy and who really wishes that she could have lived that. So she pours her love out through others. She lives her life through my sister and me. But I can see that if you do not express your own creativity, it finds ways to turn around on you. And it can become your own poison eventually. So we do not have a choice here. We either express the medicine that we are, that the world needs, or that medicine will become its own poison for us. Okay? It's a double edged sword here. Not making that journey is not an option. So follow your bliss or follow your heartbreak. Whatever it is, find it and go for it. Finding my red thread, the Shakti that I am. Okay? We all have these innate gifts. And that day we did yesterday, we looked for at least at a minimum one of the four core powers that resonates most with us. That is our gift. Do I have the wisdom of Maheshwari? Do I have the strength of Mahakali? Do I have the harmony, sweetness of Mahalakshmi? Do I have the meticulous perfection of a Mahasaraswati? At least one of these four can you identify because that is already there within you as an innate Shakti gift. Okay? Then ask yourself, and you could be a unique combination of any of these, your own unique combination of any of these. Try and find that. That is part of that entelechy. And the next beautiful thing is okay, I know the gift I am, but where do I apply it? Where do I serve? Okay, and this comes from both the Platonic tradition and the Indic tradition, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, right? Yeah, this is from the mother symbol and her many qualities. So there are these domains in which I can apply my gift. There are three purpose domains. The first, doing what is good, Shivam, right? Doing what is right for the world. The true, Satyam, the pursuit and expansion of human knowledge. And the beautiful, Sundaram, excellence and the creation of beauty. So try and find which of those four core Shaktis is yours: wisdom, strength, harmony, perfection, or a combination of that. And then see which of these domains excites you the most. I want to do what's good in the world. I know I'm that. Okay. Or then you say, I want to do what's true, expand human knowledge. Or my thing is all about art and beauty, and that's where I resonate and thrive the most. So that is for finding and following your bliss. Right? You're going to have pleasure embodying and manifesting your purpose. It need not be some dark, difficult uphill climb. Okay? So, your higher purpose is a combination of the knowledge and skills you have gained through your education, training, and life experiences. Nothing is an accident. It is your innate gifts and talents, things that come easily and naturally to you. It's about what would I be doing if I had all the money, resources, support, and inspiration I needed. What my family, community, or society, or country, or world really needs at this point. Okay? It's a version of Ikigai. You can do the Ikigai as well if you want, but this is how we do it in Shakti leadership. So, my higher purpose is how I bring to bear all these four things and how I serve the larger good, the true, or the beautiful. So, just to give you my example, I studied life sciences and biochemistry, and I went into communication studies and media studies. And only when my husband got cancer did all that immunology studies come good. And I realized, thank God I studied life sciences and biochemistry. I thought it was a waste. It was not. It was a perfect thing I needed. I'm a dancer. I've been dancing since the age of 8. And I did wonder, will I leave that? Will I forget that? But today, as you will see, I have brought it, incorporated it into Shakti leadership. We will dance on the 4th of March. We will dance the 5 elements. I travel the world and I dance this experience that you will experience on the 4th. What would I be doing if I had all the money, resources, support I needed? I'd be nowhere in the world but here, right? This is me in my bliss. It's taken years to get here, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Okay? What my family, community, society, world really needs at this point, it's also my heartbreak when I see the loss of the feminine and the dire need for Shakti. I see femicides in Mexico. I see female infanticide in India. It's tremendously heartbreaking. I see domestic violence. And so I put all this together, right? And you have Shakti leadership. And you have things like Shakti Kumbh being co-convened with other sisters who also believe in these things, right? It then reaches a place where your work becomes your play. Your work becomes your pleasure, your bliss, right? Nothing feels like work. Really, when I look back on the last 6 months, 8 months, I don't know, Rahima, does it feel tiring? I don't remember anything being hard, right? It just feels so good. And it was crazy. You know how crazy it's been. I'm getting tears thinking about how hard it has been for each of us, right? But no memory of that. Only a sense of yes, this and nothing else. Of course, this, you know? So this is what it means to find and follow your bliss, even as you're finding and following your heartbreak. Very often they are one and the same thing, interestingly. That heartbroken open place is what even the mystics yearn for. Okay. So let's end with what's called a higher self dialogue. It's a purpose statement. I really want you to experience this. This is a way for your lower self, your ego self, to find and connect with your higher self, whether it's your soul, spirit, supreme self, and to dialogue that, okay? And ask that, who am I? Why am I here? What is my swadharma? What is my purpose? Okay? Let's see if your higher self has a statement, a purpose statement for you. Would you like to do that? Okay. So I want you to use your chair in such a way, bring it in front of you or go behind it. Okay. So just be sure that don't do it right away, but when I cue you, it's going to require you're going to first begin by sitting, and I'm going to take you to a process. Once you finish that, I'll say, now stand up and go around your chair. You should be able to go around and stand behind your chair. Okay? And you should be able to place your hands on your chair. And once you have received your higher self statement of your purpose, you come back and you sit down, and you should be able to have your paper and pen ready to write down what your higher self gave you. Okay? Ready for your purpose statement from your higher self? Okay. So, since we have done so many weeks of inner work, I hope and expect your channel is open and you'll be able to receive your connection very quickly, and you'll get something beautiful from this exercise. Keep an open mind, let whatever needs to come, and be ready. Okay? Be seated in your chair, keeping your pen and paper handy nearby on the side or under the chair. And I wish you to think about, if you had a question to ask of an all-knowing, all-wise person about yourself, what is that question? And try and articulate that question for yourself. Just hold that gently in your awareness. Imagine you're going to a very wise person shortly, and you want to really get an answer, if possible, to the extent you are ready today, with an open heart and mind. a relaxed body and gut. Now, I want you to bring your right hand across your heart and your left hand across your belly. And you're going to take your child self with you into this higher self dialogue. I want you to invite your inner child, that beautiful 5, 6, 7 year old, full of curiosity, creativity, playfulness, joy, and wonder. Smile into each other's face, into each other's eyes, and say, let's go on this conversation together. I want you with me. Feel your heart open to your own inner child, a sense of protectiveness and playfulness. So, this is your adult self and your child self merging together, and you're ready to take your question back into your awareness. Bring up your question now, once more, and say, let's take this question to our higher self. So, whenever you're ready, gently stand up and come around the back of the chair and gently place your feet shoulder width apart. Stand tall like an immovable mountain. Stand as if you are the higher self. You are your all knowing, all wise, all seeing self. You see your human self seated there on that chair. And there is a deep love and compassion for that human self seated on that chair who's asking such profound and important questions. As the all knowing wise self, you gently place your hands on the back of the chair as if you're placing them on the shoulders of that human self seated in the chair. Your own channel connecting you to Supreme Source above and Mother Earth below is completely open. There's a joyful flow of knowing, consciousness, regenerative energy flowing through you. From this place of I am enough, I have enough, all I need comes to me, all I need is within me, start channeling the answer. Hear the question of your human self being asked once more, and then use your own curiosity and creativity to start answering your own question from location of higher self. Feel a tap open on the head. Feel the gate open of the heart. Let wisdom come. It could be a vision, a picture, it could be words, a poem, it could be a song. I'm going to go into silence for you to receive. Feel a seed getting seeded in you, ready to germinate in its own time, your purpose revealing itself to you. And when you're ready and the tap has opened, the stream of consciousness is flowing, come down and sit down, pick up your piece of paper and pen, and just start channeling, automatic writing. Do not edit, just write. You can write the question and then you write the answer. It could be just a short statement, it could be a paragraph. Do not overthink it. Trust the flow. Those who are done writing, now step back from it and read it as that human self and child self receiving it with a sense of open-hearted, open-minded curiosity, wonder, and joy. Breathe it and absorb it into your cells. Say yes to it. And if you are done writing, bring back that right hand on the heart and left hand on the belly and integrate this experience, gathering your human self up into your higher self. Om Ma, receiving the higher self down into the human self. Om Shri Ma. Integrating, doing the yoga of the human and the divine, the masculine and the feminine, the parent and the child self. Bring them all together, make space for each aspect. Expand yourself to include it all. And then gently open your eyes. And I want you to check in. Does your higher purpose ring clear and true? Does it appeal to your head, heart, and gut? Does it fit you? But more importantly, does it stretch you? It should be a balance of comfort and discomfort. If it doesn't scare you a little or a lot, it's probably not the full thing revealed yet. Does it compel you to act? Does it energize and motivate you for years to come? This is a great way to kick the tires of a purpose statement. Okay? And I'm going to share with you a higher self dialogue meditation. Whenever you feel you want to redo this, you just play it and my voice will guide you through it. And you can keep fine tuning your purpose statement. Okay? So, your higher purpose is essentially your Shakti, the goddess or yogini archetype that powers you, to remind and to give you the resolve and resilience to go the distance. And the work that you're going to do around this is called a purpose walk. I'm going to hand out these worksheets. I'm going to tell you how to do this activity. You're going to find a partner between now and the 4th of March. So today is the 1st. Just find half an hour between today and the 4th of March, and that is how you're going to complete this Shakti leadership course that you have been on over these 2 days. You're going to claim your personal myth. In claiming your personal myth, you're going on a I Am Shakti walk. In this I Am Shakti walk, you're going to talk about how I will live, love, and lead as a Rasika. If you can claim your personal Shakti myth, it will juice you, it'll energize you, it'll regenerate you, and keep you going till you reach your own mission and goals. You need your juicy Shakti with you, otherwise, you're going to deplete and burn out as women change makers in the world. Okay? So, what are you going to do? You're going to talk about who am I, the unique Shakti that empowers me, the rasa that energizes me. Where am I flowing? What is my bliss or my heartbreak? In all the roles, the bhumikas I get to play. Bhumika, the role, you're not that. You are the unconditioned eternal soul. But here, your bhumika, you're playing these roles in the cast of characters of other people's heroes' journeys, right? Somewhere you're the villain, somewhere you're the lover, somewhere you're the mother. These are all the bhumikas. Make sure you play every bhumika, tasting the full rasa of that bhumika. Enjoy the role, okay? So, which are the roles you are getting to play? What's coming in the way? Who are the challengers that can strengthen me? Do not get cancelled by your villain. Turn them into your challenger who will raise your game. How can I get there? What are the action steps I can take? And when will I commit to doing it? Make sure there is also a time commitment. Because anything that gets scheduled gets done. Conversely, anything that doesn't get scheduled, unlikely doesn't get done. Okay? So connect your personal purpose to your family, your community, and your country's purpose as well. Because remember, you go back here not just for yourselves, you have a larger role to play, right? So I want you to look across the room and make eye contact with one person. Identify the partner with whom you're going to go on your walk. And then I'm going to ask you to come and take your, all this is in your worksheet. So you'll get to carry that with you when you do your purpose walk. So the guidelines, you'll find a yogini sister and take a 30-minute walk together. During this time, one person speaks on the topic below, and for the first 10 to 15 minutes, while the second person listens without interrupting, without judging. Then it is the second person's time to speak on the same topic and to be deeply listened to. Given quality space and time to verbalize what they are thinking, people discover surprising insights and wisdom within themselves. Now, make sure you're walking and not sitting. It's a very different experience when you walk in one direction together, right? So, make sure you're going to walk. And once you are complete, say thank you to your sister for their unconditional listening. Ask them in turn to simply acknowledge you by saying, so your name, Nilima, your core archetype or goddess name, Saraswati. Nilima Saraswati, I see you. You are creative, resourceful, and whole. I believe in you and wish you all success in the fulfillment of your Shakti. Thank you for sharing your rasa with me. It is safe with me. Then you set a date for taking your first next critical step towards your Shakti purpose and ask your partner to check in with you a day after that. So make them accountable. Let your buddy hold you accountable to your own commitment. Okay? So you have time to read this and understand this properly. If you have any further questions, you can meet me outside and I'll clarify. And then please take that walk between now and the 4th of March. Okay? So, with that, we come to a close to today's session. You have heard and all the 5 elements. What's the first? Presence. What's the second? Power. Third, wholeness. Fourth, flexibility. Fifth, congruence. In this one session, you've received the entire Shakti leadership model. It's a 9-month journey when we do it with University of San Diego. It's a 6-month journey when we do it with Skolkovo in Moscow. It's a week-long process when we do it in Tech Day Monterrey in Mexico. So Shakti leadership is embedded curriculum in all these universities and their women's leadership programs. And we train women change makers to find their Shakti, to step into it, step up, learn leadership skills, drawing on feminine and masculine power traits, and then step out, find their Shakti project, their unique purpose, and make sure they birth it in the world in those 9 months.